Welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara. This is Barbara Talks. I will be talking about the dark side of all the signs today, but just because, you have this sign, I know people are attached to the sign that they have doesn't mean that this is going to be you. It's a plane of duality at the end of the day. It's just how the sign can express itself when it's in the dark version of itself or the shadow of the energy. And plus, in a natal chart, there's so many things to look at, so sometimes the energy might not be expressed in this way. You guys can see what signs you guys resonate with most in your chart. Sometimes people have a dominant energy. Some people are sometimes, let's say, Scorpio dominant, or some people are sometimes, let's say, Aries dominant, or, Libra dominant. You know what I mean? So it can be sun, moon, rising, but it's like you do still have a dominant energy at the end of the day, so that's probably what's going to resonate with you most. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Scorpio, drum roll, the dark side of Scorpio. Wow, so much to say. Scorpio, ruled by the 8th house, Pluto and Mars. Pluto and Mars, okay? Pluto in the current rulership, Mars in the ancient rulership, death and destruction. If you guys are new here, definitely check out my Scorpio playlist, Scorpio/8th house. There's just always so much to say about the Scorpio energy. So when Scorpio is in its lower version, so a little scorpion, Scorpio stinger, I'm sure you guys have heard, they will sting, okay? They will absolutely sting. They can run their mouths. You won't expect it. When they are angry, what's important to understand with Scorpio, the root of everything Scorpio is doing is self-preservation. That's the root of all of their decisions, of their overthinking, of their overanalyzing, of everything. Just keep this in mind. They are ruled by Pluto now, used to be ruled by Mars, okay? Mars is the planet of war, yes, but also a planet that wants to win. So Scorpio wants to win, okay, in situations. So they always want to come out with, the winning outcome. So that's what is going on with that. So everything that they're doing is rooted in self-preservation because they want to win. So it's really interesting actually to observe the shadow of Scorpio, because what I've noticed with them, a lot of things actually, the shadow of Scorpio sometimes isn't going to be direct. They're going to be kind of shadowy, like creeping behind the scenes. If you guys have seen the show You, perfect example. Overanalyzing, overthinking in their crown, like in the shadow, like really analyzing everything, not being direct, okay? Like wanting to make sure, kind of like calculating everything. Like they can really, really be shadowy, you guys, when the energy is in the shadow. They can go into gambling, like get rich quick schemes. Like all the lower versions of society, especially when it comes to money, are connected to the Scorpio energy. Yeah, exactly. Everything rooted for Scorpio is rooted in self-preservation. They want to win, basically, for them, like in a situation. So that's why they're analyzing, that's why they're watching, that's why they're creeping, that's why they're lurking, that's why they're watching everything. But in them doing all of this, a lot of time can pass. So that's something that they're meant to learn or master, because like all the time can pass because they're trying to, get the best possible outcome for themselves or to win or whatever it is. And then it's like the time can pass. Now you've wasted all this time when you could have just been straight up, or you could have been direct, or you could have had maybe a different strategy. So like, it's kind of like strategizing, but like in the shadow. And it's like, they can go into like a lot of overthinking when they're in the shadow. I'm sure you guys have heard about the paranoias, like that's absolutely there. They can really be possessive when they're in the shadow. They can be manipulative, they can be controlling, but it's covert with them. The Scorpio energy is like a vortex, okay? It is pulling you in. It is exhausting because for them, with the Scorpio energy, a lot of things are rooted in basically like being hypervigilant. And they're hypervigilant due to trauma, essentially, okay? So you have to like kind of explore, if you have Scorpio energy in your chart, to see what is the root of that trauma or traumatic moment that took place that's kind of rooting all of your behaviors. Is it a fear of being rejected? Is it a fear of abandonment? Is it a fear of loss? It's usually one of these, okay? With Scorpio, mainly I find it's the fear of losing someone or something, again, connected to self-preservation. That's what I've noticed with them mostly, okay? But it can be other things too. And again, keep in mind, you guys, there's other energies taking place in the chart as well, like aspects and all these things, that's still there. But again, even if you have, let's say Scorpio is one of your dominant energies, this is probably going to resonate with you if you have a Scorpio stellium. So it's basically this, okay? And it is tiring because then you waste a lot of mental energy, okay? And you could be using that energy to create something for yourself, because Scorpio has a lot of sexual energy. So Scorpio in the shadow can absolutely be hypersexual. But the thing is, with Scorpio's hypersexuality, it's again connected to power and control. So it's something that's calculated with them, basically with the Scorpionic energy. It's really interesting because it's like they're kind of using it as a weapon in one way, shape, or form. The Scorpio energy when it's in the shadow, right? So when you see a Scorpio that's hypersexual, it's definitely in the shadow of the energy. Something that they need to work on within themselves. He said, what do I think about Scorpio man and woman matched? You said you feel like it's gonna be a no-go, it's too much. If they can even get to the point of being matched, you know what I mean? I saw the best meme. I wish I saved it. I never saw it again. It was like two Spider-Mans and they're both kind of like doing this at each other and they're kind of like watching out for each other. So when it's like two Scorpios, and especially if they're in the shadow of the energy or they're unhealed, it's like a game, right? To see who's gonna give in first. And it can be a challenge because a lot of the time neither will give in and they kind of recognize the other one's tactics. So it's like, it depends how evolved are the two people. And also it's about power and control. So both of them might want to be in control in the situation. It depends how evolved are the two people. And I talk about this in like the Pluto synastry videos, the 8th house synastry videos, all these things. It depends if there's a deep wound there and like a fear of loss, especially if the wound is connected to like fear of being vulnerable, which can happen with the Scorpio energy. They're not going to want to give in, right? So if you have two people that are like that, think about it as a magnet, right? They're repelling in a way each other. Like they're kind of waiting to see who's going to give in first, you know? And it's about power and control. So that's also another Scorpio shadow, power and control, not letting go, really wanting to hold on to something. Scorpio deals with the words I desire. So sometimes their desires can really be driving them to, you know, shadowy destinations, but it depends because again, they can be obsessive, but it's like you want to take that obsession energy and put it towards something positive. This is what I mean. You want to take the shadow of the energy and you want to put it toward something positive that is going to benefit you. Because like Scorpio in the shadow is going to be psychological games. It's going to be psychological manipulation. They can literally, even energetically, you guys manipulate a situation to get a specific outcome without having done anything, and they can get away with things, okay? And this is another thing too. Scorpios hate liars. Yes, they do, but they can also be the best liars. Takes one to know one. Depends what's going on in the charts because there probably has to be a balance of other energies taking place for the Scorpio energy to work. Because it's like, think about it this way, okay? If you have two people that have strong Scorpio in their charts, one of the people in the situation is gonna have to give in to the other person, because otherwise, if you have both people trying to maintain control and power, you're not gonna be able to have a relationship. So it depends, like, how is the energy working? Because then you have the other end of the energy where it's like, again, if you have Scorpio in your charts, you probably only get along with other people who also have Scorpio in their charts as well. This is what I mean. But it's like, if both people are in the shadow, well, it's like in the shadow of the energy, it's like, is a relationship even starting? Because it's a lot of, again, that meme where it's like, you know, just like watching each other. Or have you guys ever seen like the cat standoffs where like two cats come to each other and they're just like watching each other, and it's like they're frozen and they're kind of waiting to see which cat is going to give in, and then it's like a dominance thing to see who's going to be the dominant one, whoever gives in first. So this is what I mean. The same thing happens with humans. It's just more unconscious, I find. This is unhealed Scorpio that I'm talking about here, and it is the dark side of Scorpio. That's another thing too. Scorpio unconsciously can create chaos because they can be used to that chaotic energy. Because keep in mind, like, everyone talks about Pluto and Scorpio, like the Pluto rulership, I mean, but Scorpio is also ruled by Mars. Mars is chaos. So unhealed Scorpio energy brings through chaos. They have a lot of chaos in their energy field overall, okay? They might notice that in general, chaos is like around them. That's why you'll see like Scorpio energies are good in high pressure situations or situations that require, again, you know, to be like focused in the moment of chaos because they're used to that. It's a very strong energy, and especially when it's in the shadow, it's very intense. Like, people talk about Scorpio's intensity, but when it's in the shadow of the energy and it's dark, it's kind of like a little dark cloud, okay? That's just like sitting there and chilling there. So it's interesting because like I've heard a few different things. Sometimes people say that like in past lives, Scorpios have done just like intense things and so on and so forth. So you kind of come through in this lifetime with that energy in your chart. It could be this, but like the way that I've seen it recently, just like in my own opinion, is like Scorpio understands the dark because they've, first of all, had some sort of exposure to it. And a lot of the time I find Scorpio in a chart usually has had some sort of occult knowledge or like connection to the occult in previous lifetimes. They kind of incarnate with that already. Scorpio can really go into, what's that term? Where it's like they create pain in a situation, but then they like feed off. They can be energy vampires, you guys. They can really be energy vampires as well. They can like enjoy these types of things. Like, they could be intense and possessive. Yeah, absolutely. Possessive just goes without saying, okay? Because again, keep in mind, if we look at Scorpio as the first house, the seventh house of Scorpio would be Taurus. So Scorpio can be absolutely possessive. They can be jealous. They could be, one of you guys are saying self-sabotaging. Absolutely. They can self-sabotage because they're death and destruction. They can build things up and then sabotage it just to destruct it so they can start new. They can also have a lot of ego in the shadow, right? The Scorpio energy as well. Scorpio really categorizes people, okay, energetically. And if you don't meet them where they're at, you kind of go into just like the fluffy category. Energetically is basically what that is. Sometimes in the shadow, Scorpio can be very like predator and prey type of energy. It can very much be about like dominance. Power and control is basically what that is, okay? That's just like the shadow of the Scorpio energy. And because they deal with respect, they can be intense, okay, with cutting people off. If they feel disrespected, if they feel the other person lied, anything to do with like cheating and lying from the other person, anything to do with like, again, if they don't feel respected, that's kind of what it's all rooted in, that person gets cut off. So sometimes they can be lone wolves. Scorpio is also meant to master boundaries. Like a shadow Scorpio energy kind of comes through people's lives when someone is in the shadow of Scorpio and they're coming into somebody else's life because they're trying to teach the other person to have boundaries. It's that energy that kind of like really pulls people in and just like energetically like consumes them. Like Scorpio in the shadow is like claws, like it's like energetic claws, and it's so covert, it's so sneaky, and it creeps up on you. So that's shadow Scorpio.